nice introduction. Good evening, sirs. Good evening, all of you. Uh, Thank you, first of all, for giving me this opportunity. As you all mentioned, it is a maiden lecture, and I am privileged to handle the first lecture of your association. Hope my association with this institute also continues further. That's my interest too. So I thank all the organizers of the Institution of Manufacturing and Quality Engineers, and I wish this start and this ambition of yours gives you a lot of success and keeps a lot of people connected, and it helps as a platform to exchange knowledge in the field of manufacturing and quality. So with this wishes, I will get into my lecture. So as Krishnamurthy sir explained, I am a person who come from wind energy background, maybe not too strong in quality and manufacturing principles or methodologies. But in this lecture, though I come from wind energy background, but the prime motto is to discuss about the quality. So I tried my best to bring in or to collate all the quality aspects that we follow in the practices of wind energy. So that's my intention here. So I try to collate all the quality aspects that we follow in various stages of wind energy harvesting. So that's how I have framed my slides. So you can follow the slides, and if you want to interrupt in between, you can interrupt, or we can have the question session at the end, and allow me to run through all the presentations, all the slides.
Preferably, we'll have the question and answer session at the end, sir.
Okay, right, sir. Thank you. And now I will share my screen. Sir, you are able to see the screen?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, right, sir. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, sir. The title goes like this: Quality in Wind Power Harvesting. It's about the wind power harvesting total cycle. This you can relate it to a product life cycle. So it all starts with wind potential assessment. As I told, this is the very first activity in the wind energy business. So one has to identify what is the suitable site where I can have this wind turbine. So this is the WRA, and the next activity is designing of a wind turbine. How to design a turbine in a quality manner by considering all the safety aspects. Of course, here in this presentation, I have a thinking that quality is always combined with safety also. Safety and quality always comes together, especially with wind power. We cannot keep that apart. So designing of turbines always keeps into consideration of the safety operation of a turbine, and that's where we have to know what is the wind potential, and for that given wind potential we have to design a suitable turbine. And we have a lot of standards and guidelines and a lot of calculations that are mentioned in the standards. Those are used to do this activity of designing. And then once the turbine is designed, then comes the next activity, which is purely a quality work, I would say, testing certification of the wind turbine. So whatever turbine is designed, and that cannot simply go into the field where you can simply have it installed. So there is a quality control activity, which is the manufacturing of the first prototype wind turbine based on the design achieved. One has to manufacture the first raw prototype turbine, and then that turbine has to be installed in the field where a complete full-scale type testing is done, prototype testing is done, and a lot of measurements take place there, and based on that testing, the certification activity is done, and so after that a type certificate is issued. So only after that this can get into the stage of manufacturing. And there is also one more stringent measure by the Indian government, which is called as Indian RLMM regulation, we call it, revised list of manufacturers and models. So this is a control activity done by the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, Government of India, where any turbine in India, if someone wants to install, it has to be listed in this Indian RLMM list. And in order to get this listed, the RLMM committee will look for a valid design certificate, valid type certificate, and a valid So with this valid certificates only you can take part, you can ensure that your turbine is listed in this RLMM, and only when your turbine finds a place in the RLMM list, any electricity board will give the grid connection for your turbine. So this is, I feel, in my perspective, a very tight quality control measure. So this is one thing which I wanted to highlight, and followed by this is the manufacturing and the assembly process. So manufacturing talks about manufacturing of blades, manufacturing of towers, manufacturing of gearbox, manufacturing generators, manufacturing converters, manufacturing bearings, yaw drives, pitch drives. So all these comes under manufacturing, and assembling is about assembling the whole nacelle. If you can recall the picture what I've shown to explain the operation of wind turbine, you saw the nacelle in which you have the complete assembly of main bearing, main shaft, gearbox, generator. The whole thing is assembled in an assembly shop, and the whole nacelle is transported to the field. So that's about the assembly shop. And so there is naturally a shop quality coming into picture at this stage. And the next stage is the field activity, where these turbines are taken to the field, and they do the installation and commissioning. So which is purely a project site activity, and there is also a lot of standards that are practiced, like the OSHAs and the environmental standards that play a role in controlling or in implementing the quality at the site activities of wind farming. And then comes the final activity, which is the operation and maintenance. So the turbine that is installed here in the field has to operate for 20 years. So there is typically an operation and maintenance cycle that goes on for 20 years. So there is a protocol to maintain, to attend the routine maintenance, to do the breakdown maintenance. So also safety training for the wind farm technicians is a must. So there are several quality aspects that go into this stage of operation maintenance. And not the least, for 20-year-old turbines, there is again a process of quality control that takes place, which is called the recertification. So any wind turbine that operates in India cannot run beyond 20 years, as 20 years is the design lifetime of a wind turbine. So any turbine that crosses 20 years, again they have to get into a recertification cycle, where third parties like us, we get into physical inspection of the turbine, of the old turbine that is getting closer to 20 years. We inspect, we do some spot checks, field measurements, also do some simulation of loads, mechanical loads, and then we finally evaluate what is the balance residual life that is available, and then give a recertification for next 2 to 3 years, by which again the RLMM committee looks for the recertification process, and then finally allows to again operate for the 2 or 3 more years. So with this you can imagine what kind of quality consciousness is prevailing in this field of wind power harvesting. And now let us look at each stage, all the 6 stages. I have listed down few points where you can imagine what is the quality aspect that is getting in. So this is about the wind resource assessment activity. As I have mentioned, this is about identification of right wind potential. So this is done basically in 3 stages. One is to first do a wind physical measurement, which is with the help of a mast like this, which is a meteorological mast. And on top of this, this is a very thin structure with 300 mm by 300 mm is the cross section of the structure, a lattice structure that goes up to 120 meters height. And on top of it, we have the meteorological sensors like anemometer and wind vane, temperature probes, pressure transmitters, rain detectors. So these are few met sensors that you can mount at 120 meter height, and then measure in a given location what is the wind potential available for 1 year to 3 years. Normally it is done for 3-year measurement period is reasonable, because you can also quantify the annual variations. So this is one thing. And so after having such a measurement, and you have to assess the wind potential for a larger area. So you cannot have a meteorological mast like typically a 100 megawatt wind farm. Just to give an indication, like I was telling, each wind turbine is 2.5 megawatt, and if you want to establish a 100 megawatt wind farm, you need to have 25 turbines, not 25, 20 turbines, yeah, So you should have 20 turbines. Assume it is a 2 megawatt machine, and you want to establish a 100 megawatt wind farm. Then you need to have 50 turbines installed. And in order to install 50 turbines, you cannot measure by having a meteorological mast like this in the 50 locations. So what we do is, in the whole area, like this 50 machines will be spread across, let's say 25 square kilometers. So it will be a large area. This whole wind farm will be spreaded, and but you cannot measure at all the 50 locations. So what we do is we measure at one given location by having a meteorological mast. We measure the wind speed by having accurate devices, sensors, and after measuring, then we use software tools to linearly extrapolate that measured wind speed to extrapolate to the turbine locations. So for that we use a methodology, it's a mathematical modeling where this tool needs to be given with the inputs from the measured wind data, and then this picture is about the terrain mapping. You need to educate your software tool about the ups and downs, the variations in the whole wind farm. So where we have this contour drawing, and then this is a picture where the roughness indications are given to the mathematical model. So whether there is a water body nearby, or is there a small hillock, so is there a vegetation. So based on that you need to model the roughness index, and with all that what the software does is the observed wind climate, which is basically the mass data, is taken to a generalized wind climate, and then finally it again we bring down to the predicted wind location, which is this 50 locations where we are going to have this turbine, and then we estimate what will be the generation if we have this particular turbine in this 50 locations. Finally we get this energy estimation reports, and these are very important reports, and these reports go to the bankers, to the lenders, and based on that they go take a decision to invest in this wind farm. So why I explain all this is how important it is to maintain quality in doing this wind measurement. So that's the next slide that talks about. So using right sensors with good accuracy class, and we have IEC standard, International Electrotechnical Commission 61400-12-1 standard, and also the MESNET guidelines. So this is a measurement laboratories network in Europe. So they also have set a lot of guidelines how to measure, how accurate the sensors has to be used, and how is the installation procedure maintained, how accurate it has to be installed. It should not have any inclination while installation of the sensors. So even such a small error could create a lot of inaccuracies in the wind measurement, and using that if you compute and finally estimate this is the energy generation that will be produced by this turbine, that can go wrong, and the whole funding exercise can become wrong. And today in the industry we are fighting for even one paise, 2 paise. The current tariff for the renewable power in India is about 2 rupees per unit of electricity. The investor can gain 2 rupees. A few years back it was about 3.5 rupees to 4 rupees from Tamil Nadu what people earned, and now it has been reduced to 2 rupees. So you can imagine what kind of stress levels from the economical front people will undergo. So therefore estimation of right energy estimation needs to be done, and for which right sensors and right measurement has to be exercised. And this is the guiding standard IEC 61400-12-1 and MESNET guidelines, and we should typically avoid the sensor failures during measurement campaign. So we should use quality sensors and loggers to have a powerful measurement campaign of the wind measurements, and we should also use the instruments in a calibrated way, and the instruments should get calibrated in an accredited laboratory, and these accredited laboratories are accredited according to ISO IEC 17025. This is like ISO 9001. This is the guideline for laboratory management system. Any lab that is involved in testing and measurements, that needs to be accredited according to 17025. And in India, NABL is the accreditation body who gives IEC 17025 accreditation for these labs. And so this usage of calibrated instruments reduces a lot of uncertainties, and it improves the data quality and reliability of measurements. And typically, as I told, we need to measure for 1 to 3 years, and we should avoid the sensor failures. Therefore the usable data that we get is more than 95%. So out of 365 days, if 2 or 3 months, if your data is not being collected, then based on that half-baked data, if you make some assessment, it won't be right. So therefore, you need to have ensure more than 95% of data availability. And there is also a standard which talks about the mathematical modeling, how to extrapolate the wind speed from the measured location to the predicted to the turbine locations. So we have a standard which is upcoming, which is IEC 614-15, which is under development, and we need to use mathematical models like WASP and WinPro to do the wind extrapolation, and the usage of right reanalysis data to do the long-term correlation is also very important. So and then finally we also apply a lot of probability methods, probability tools to ascertain the uncertainties of the annual energy production predictions. And so all these aspects, what is mentioned here, finally enables to maintain quality in the WRA practices, and this will finally boil down to right estimation of the annual energy production of the given wind farm, and but with the help of a reliable and bankable report. So this is how we maintain quality in WRA aspect and WRA activity. And the next activity I was mentioning is about the designing of turbines. And here you can see the again, so wind energy is highly, I would say, advanced or benefited with the help of a lot of IEC standards. So IEC is part of ISO, International Standards Organization's technical arm is IEC. A lot of you might know this. So IEC has writes standards for many technical fields, and there is one group who exclusively work on wind energy. 61400 is the series of standards which all pertains to various activities of wind energy, whether designing of turbines or mechanical measurement of turbines or electrical measurement of turbines or electrical simulation of turbines or blade testing or blade manufacturing. For any of the activity in wind energy, you will have a set of IEC standards. So that is that also shows how advanced form of renewable energy wind energy is, and also what kind of quality thoughts have already been gone into this sector, renewable energy. Though it is an upcoming field or new developing field, we can call it, but still a lot of standards have been developed. It's all because of the quality consciousness that we have. And so the typical design standards used for designing wind turbines, standards used for designing wind turbines are 614-1 and 614-22. So this is a certification standard, and this is a design standard. Both are used to design a wind turbine. And we have IEC and CEA guidelines for the electrical grid compliances. So like we all know, these turbines are connected to the grid, and by connecting this kind of wind turbines, a lot of wind turbines into the grid, we also encounter a lot of problems in the grid in terms of power quality. So all these wind turbine generators are typically induction generators, which acts like an inductive load on the grid, and this naturally brings down the power quality or the grid quality that is in the grid. So in order to maintain this, so they have strict guidelines coming from CEA, which is the Central Electricity Authority of India. So they have laid certain standards that your turbine, if you want to get connected to the grid, it has to comply upon this much of characteristics like power quality. It needs to maintain at unity power factor, or it should have a capability to act as a inductive load or a capacitive load based on the instruction that comes from the load dispatch centers. Immediately and quickly your turbine has to react to it, and whenever there is a grid failure, your turbine still needs to stay connected in the grid. If it suddenly disconnects, then there will be a huge disturbance that will get into the grid, and a lot of short circuits will happen. So therefore they emphasize on one quality which is called as low voltage ride through and high voltage ride through requirements. So these are new compliances coming from the electrical side. So this also shows how India is very careful and particular in connecting these turbines into the grid. And so coming back again to the design aspect, we need to use right tools, right programs to make the aeroelastic calculations structural assessments, electromagnetic calculations, and 3D modeling. So these are like the sub activities in the design of wind turbines. Like here you can see the this is the load calculation exercise. So what we do is we typically have a virtual turbine modeled in a software tool, and then put the incoming wind speeds acting on the rotor, and then study the deflections and the aeroelastic behavior of the rotor. Everything is studied with the help of aeroelastic calculations, and then after knowing what kind of loads that the components will envisage, the blade root and the main shaft and the tower top and the tower bottom, what kind of load is going to be acted on act on these components, then accordingly we do the structural assessment. The structural stiffening or increasing the strength of these components are done based on the loads that we arrive from the aeroelastic calculations. And then we also do electromagnetic calculations for designing the generators, and also we use a lot of tools for 3D modeling of blades and other things. So we need to use right tools, and selection of right standard for the design and also for the certification is very important. So coming to the testing and certification stage, as I told, these are the set of IEC standards. You can see starting from the design standard 614-1, we have a lot of standards for various activities of wind energy, wind power harvesting. So this is one of the significant stage in the wind turbine life cycle, I would say, that is testing, certification, and getting the RLMM registration done. So this is very important activity. So design assessment is nothing but once the design is ready, then independent consultants like us review the whole design calculations done by the turbine designer, and then we check and verify the calculations, and then finally say, okay, the design is fine. That is called as the design assessment stage. Once that certificate is obtained, then the designer or the turbine manufacturer manufactures the first prototype and then erects that in the field, and then does this activity, which is prototype testing. And here again, in order to do the prototype testing, there are a lot of standards from IEC that is used. One is 61400-13. This is used to do the mechanical measurements, and 61400-12-1 is used to measure the power performance, and so 61400-23 is to measure or is to do the blade testing. Like blade as a component is very vital, and it is like the heart of the whole wind turbine, and therefore blade as a component as such, it has to undergo a lot of testing. Apart from the whole turbine testing, the blade itself has to undergo a very stringent testing exercise called static and dynamic testing. On a shop floor, one prototype blade has to be manufactured, and we will be applying all sort of extreme loads and then testing its behavior. And also we do a dynamic testing, which is we subject the blade to undergo an oscillation like this for 10 to the power of 7 cycles, which is like 10 million cycles. It has to undergo this oscillation, and then we see what kind of fatigue damage is incurred on this component. So that standard is about this 23, part 23, and so like that. And there is also a standard for testing gearbox. So we have all standards in place. So that comes at this stage of prototype testing. Typically prototype testing takes place about 12 to 18 months in a product design cycle. So it's not so easy. It has to undergo 1.5 years of exercise. A lot of time and money is put in this stage, and then the type certificate is issued after seeing the physical behavior of the turbine in the field, and by comparing the physical behavior with the design calculations, then finally a type certificate is issued by the certification body, who gains confidence by comparing the simulated results from the design in comparison with the physical measurement that took place at the stage of prototype testing. And then finally a type certificate is issued, and this type certificate is submitted to the RLMM committee of the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, who in addition to the type certification, they also check for the CEA compliance along with the grid code compliances, and then finally enlist your turbine into this RLMM list. Okay, and finally, and not finally, the next stage is the manufacturing, the assembly process. And here you can see typically a manufacturing or an assembly plant where this is all the, so this is a nacelle of a wind turbine, and this is the hub. You can see this is a hub, and these holes are where the blades will be connected. So one is here, the other one is here. There will be another provision this side to have the third blade. So this is called as the hub, and these are the nacelles, and this is the complete view of a manufacturing plant or an assembly plant of hub and nacelle. And this is the base frame. You see, this is the base frame, and this is a huge casting structure. And as you're all manufacturing and quality engineers, you can imagine all shop floor quality practices are followed in this manufacturing process, whether it is this is the steel casting part, and the hub, this is a fiberglass, just a spinner cap around the hub, but inside this there is a steel part, which is again a casting. So that is the steel casting which connects the rotor blades. So that is also a steel part. So a lot of machining goes in at the surface where the bearing is fixed and where the blade root is getting fixed. A lot of machining takes place. So all the quality things that gets into a normal manufacturing sector also is applied here. And this is a blade shop where you can see manufacturing of a blade. So here again lot of procedures related to ISO 9001 and also OSHA's 18001 and environmental regulations of 14001 practices are implemented, especially blade which is a polyester, and a lot of resins and hazardous chemicals are used. So it has to strictly maintain this environmental management system along with OSHA's and the QMS systems. So any component that is used in a wind turbine, whether it is a machined component or a bought-out component like pitch bearings or gearbox or anything, so a serious vendor development program takes place. So the designer of the whole turbine engages the component suppliers right from the design stage itself, wherein to ensure right manufacturing, ease of manufacturing as well as ease of maintaining quality is ensured. So a robust vendor development program is in place. And there is also a third-party quality assurance program takes place. So like if there is a wind farm owner who wants to buy a certain number of wind turbines from one company, they engage consultants like us who go and does third-party audits, and then we thoroughly check the shop for maintaining the quality, and also we look at their quality assurance plan, how they ensure quality, and how is their supply chain management handled, and how is their vendor quality maintained, because most of the items are bought out, like blades are also bought out, and tower is also bought out component. So there is a tower fabricator who does the whole tower fabrication. The whole 120-meter tower is fabricated into 5 parts. So it's like 20 meters is one section of tower. So 6 sections of this forms 120 meters. So there is a lot of fabrication activity going on, and there is also a concept called green tagging. So which is again similar to the third-party quality assessment programs. A company is engaged to assess the quality produced from the vendor stage, from the vendor place, and then they put a green tag, and which is accepted by the end user of the product. So that is called as green tagging, which is typically done for blades and towers, being a very critical component. And not the least, as I told, we have this RLMM regulations in India. This is very special for India. Unlike other countries, they only look at the design certificate and the type certificate. In India, beyond that, we also have this RLMM regulations. So RLMM committee, before enlisting the turbine into the list, they also come and visit and inspect your manufacturing facility and your assembly facility, and then check the quality and your competence towards manufacturing this turbine, and then finally enlist in the RLMM. So this all shows how focused we are in this manufacturing of wind turbines. Yeah, this is about the field activities. Here again, a lot of heavy engineering activity goes, like lifting of components and using cranes and so a lot of safety consciousness is also important, because it's a highly harsh environment where people work at heights, and especially during the installation time, a lot of nuts and bolts will be in loosened condition, and so proper torquing needs to be done. So therefore, this is how we maintain quality at this stage. We use right protocols for logistics, because each of the components, they have different handling procedures, and different procedures to store it in the truck and store it in the ground, and how to lift it. So there's a lot of protocols that needs to be strictly adhered, and use of right installation and commissioning protocol, and also use of well-trained technicians to operate the cranes, and also to operate the installation tools, and safety training to technicians also play a vital role. And in wind industry, we have standards like GWO, which is Global Wind Organization, which is established purely to ensure safety of the wind farm technicians, whether they work in onshore wind farms or in offshore. They need to have this ensured. And we also practice DGUV, which is a German standard for wind turbine safety practices, and OSHAs, as typically we follow this. And there is also a concept called daily tool room or stand-up meetings before the site activity takes place. Every day, all the technicians in the wind farm, they gather together, and then they have a status quo meeting of what tools are available, what is the work for today, who is going where, who is climbing where, who is going to the hub, and who is going to the blades. So all these are well discussed, and so a clear communication protocol is established. So all these forms part of site quality. So this is all in my perspective. I think most of you will agree. This is how we can maintain quality in a wind farm site where installation and commissioning is happening. And finally, after the turbines are installed, then we go to the stage of operation and maintenance. So which is the activity for 20 years. So there is a safety training again required for this technicians who are involved in maintaining the turbines, whether routine maintenance or breakdown maintenance, or so any inspections. So for all this, people have to climb up and down, and for them this kind of training of fire awareness, rescue training, when they're working at heights, they should know how to rescue people suddenly if somebody collapses, and also the first aid training program. And we also focus on, typically for offshore wind farm technicians who work in the offshore wind turbines, they have some special training programs like helicopter underwater escape training and sea survival trainings, which are also very important. So this is all a safety aspect of it. And so in order to also maintain the wind farm in a proper way, there need to be an use of an advanced SCADA system, which is a supervisory data acquisition system used to monitor the health of the wind farm in a better way, and also to maximize the power generation. So this is typically a SCADA screen of sitting from one place. You can connect all the wind farm. Like I was talking about 50 turbines of 2 megawatt, which forms a 100 megawatt wind farm. So for such a wind farm, you can have one SCADA system where all the turbines are connected via communication protocol, and you can have a software tool to govern and control all this. And with the help of the sensors installed, you can also monitor the health of the components like gearbox, generators, blades. These are very high and very costly products, and you need to maintain the health of the component. If it suddenly fails, then you need to have a lot of time invested to repair it. So in order to prevent that, you need to have a good SCADA system by which you can monitor the health. Sorry. So this is the architecture that goes behind, the IT architecture that goes behind establishing a SCADA system. So thank you very much for the patient hearing, and I hope I have given sufficient information and thoughts about what kind of quality things are being carried out in the field of wind power harvesting, more specifically in the Indian context. Thank you.